Good afternoon to Dr. and our fellow classmates. We are from Group 1. Before we start, I will summarize the case for you in order to help you more understand. Ball Industry Limited is a domestic Indian fertilizer company with a manufacturing facility and corporate office in Rajasthan. In this case study, the management overlooked the mandatory requirement of CSR policy formulation. The company did nothing on the CSR since the relegation come to the force. After we had studied the case, we noticed that their financial position was not healthy. The company fell under the regulatory clause with the bundle line case, and 2% of its average 3-year profit must be spent on the CSR activities. Previously, the company ignored the requirement to form the CSR policy and planned to do action which the company will carry out. From now, the regulator already started issuing the show cause to few companies to notice the company that did not start the CSR yet. In this company, Emily is the Chief Operating Officer. She was assigned to prepare the blueprint of the CSR policy of the company, and she needs to prepare it before the upcoming meeting. She needs to create a relevant CSR policy that created to the company with the limited financial consideration of the company's strategy plan, SWOT competitive environment, and the market in overall and the economic condition. Strategic CSR can help the firm to differentiate themselves from their competitor. Emily was in dilemma that she was required to form a CSR that can achieve the goal in terms of shareholders' needs or community wealth.
As general, DRI knows as a global multi-stakeholder network from device, culture and sector that purpose to develop the DRI sustainability reporting framework and can use to measure and report their economic, environmental and social performance. The big issue occurs in big company is that the company did not disclose the CSR report. This means that the company cannot claim that they had networking with the stakeholders, although the company already has a CSR policy. They realized that the CSR activity should be implemented for good looking of the company. Thus, they have made reserve for CSR activity from year 2014 until 2017. But they have not yet performed any CSR activity because the management assumed that CSR compliance is less important than the way to enhance the company profit. They note the big and probable firms would be comparable in setting out some financial resource for society and the environment. As conclusion, we feel that the issues falls under CRR. Next, IRC framework is establishing principles and concepts that governs the overall content of an integrated report. In short, an integrated report sets in show how and to what extent the organization understands, takes into account and respond to their needs and interests. In this study, we know that B was not mentioned whether they published a fully integrated report or instance. For that view, the question arises whether the company disclose their integrated report has to be a separate, stand-alone, or can it be presented in a existing report? Referring to the PwC 2014, there are more potential investors who want to invest in the company in which the company disclose full report, or we can call it as integrated reporting, rather than financial report only. We can see that big companies did not disclose their strategy, governance, performance, and prospect that the stakeholder can pursue for their decision making. We assume that the issue is related to integrated reporting. Moreover, a going concern is an accounting term for a business that has the financial ability to remain running infinitely until it can show otherwise. The willingness of a company to make enough money to continue to survive or escape bankruptcy is often referred to by this definition. In this case, we discovered that the company description follow the rural region that suffer from lazy banking, with lazy banking networks and the negligible digital banking system. We also had identified some risks that could impede in growth and ability to compete in their marketplace. Some of these challenges were continuously changing demand and supply patterns, unstable government policy, and quantum of future subsidies, fluctuate in global oil price, and weakening Indian rupee. Can the company survive within these external threats? We suggest that this issue is undergoing concern. So, I will pass the next presenter and she will present about ethical dilemma.
There are three ethical dilemmas. First, whether CSR should be postponed or early disclosure. The dilemma comes through in Emily's mind when Bill had put CSR compliance on the back burner, but she knew they could not postpone it any further since Mr. Ball and the other directors had made it clear that they want the CSR policy to be in place at the earliest. It is also related to the GRI issue that Bill actually has a CSR department but still does not implement any CSR activities because they worried if the CSR activities incur high costs when to have CSR report. Next, whether to balance conflict interest between economy or social wealth. Emily was unsure how far Bill could go with his CSR initiative in order to balance the naturally conflicting interests of various stakeholders. The issue is whether to maximize profit with disclosure IR or focusing CSR activities, which is to enhance social welfare. Integrated reporting is not mandated by most regulators. Companies embarking on it does not see IR adoption from a compliance lens, but from a strategic lens. As a way, they can tell a better story about their business model and the value they create for investors. Lastly, what CSR activities are implemented effectively? Bill is under the pressure of planning the CSR policy and initiating the relevant CSR activity to the company due to the time and financial issue. Emily's need to create relevant CSR activity that related to the company with the limited financial consideration of the company's strategic plans, SWOT competitive environments and the market in overall and the economic condition, because these are related with going concern of the company. The possible effect is whether those activities are effective for society or instead of. Now, I will pass to my teammate and she will explain about the first dilemma.
First of all, according to the text, we can realize that both CSR department is considered to look impressive but lack real work. Keaton Chris, the founder and lead designer of Patient Life, say that what the public think of your company is critical to its success. By building a positive image that you believe in, you can make a name of your company as being socially conscious. Thus, if company can easily disclose CSR, it can increase value to firm by advertising and maintaining a good corporate reputation or brand equity. In other words, customers will prefer to purchase in a firm of CSR since they are helping the firm support good cause. Next, CSR also can help the company increase employee satisfaction. Employees will gain motivation and pride in their work through these personal development opportunities. However, the factor of cost impact an organization in two ways when it embeds the system of CSR into its operation. The first was in which costs are factors because it brings along with itself a number of expenses that a corporation is required to fulfill. For example, if the company needs to disclose CSR, they need to hire extra personnel to organize all costs to prepare report as well as include additional costs for implementing such as different mode of operation. Next, how about if CSR activity postpone the cost? Of course, if a company wants to postpone CSR, it can save the cost and increase the profit. In other words, it even can save the resource and focus on other operation activities in order to generate more revenue in development or creating new products. However, is this really suitable? As we discussed before, CSR activity considered as important word to add more value brands. Thus, without the CSR activity, does the public or investor will invest capital? There was one study from Huang. The conclusion is better corporate social discourse is positively correlated with long holding period returns in IPO since most of the investors carry about environmental information discourse. In short, A company is difficult to access the fund from investor and bring effect in sales product even though some products has been cleared. In conclusion, we suggest CSR activity should be early discussed because it is key to success in a company. A research survey by Lacy finds that 93% of 766 CEOs from all over the world believe that issues related to CSR are critical to the future success of the business. There are another findings support that CSR discourse is very relevant, increased earning quality, analysis forces accuracy, and firm level cost of capital. As we suggest to early discuss CSR activity, it has the main problem, cost. However, if you realize this is because you choose unsuitable activities for your company, CSR activity can be organized in various forms. In fact, CSR activity will reduce cost instead of raise up. For example, we can reduce wastewater, energy, as well as material recycle. Since both main uses is manufacturing fertilizer, they can collect the food waste from restaurants and it can become one of the raw material. Meanwhile, they can collect the banned bucket from some contribution site to put inside fertilizer. These eco-efficiencies can produce both environmental and economic benefit through reduction in energy consumption, implementation of new cost-neutral building maintenance methodologies, and decreasing the cost of workplace generally. Next, we should know that there is no point in adopting CSR if nobody knows about it. Meanwhile, if we can provide a real and accurate report about CSR, and it can be evidence as supporting to the public, why don't we just do it? I mean, there will always be reward by giving. According to Oz and Emograph 2014, the company is countries with a pronounced long-term orientation are considered to disclose more CSR information in the context of national culture. From a management bill, CSR report can assist to estimate the impact of their activities on the environment or social. From the public bill, CSR report increase awareness of the public or shareholder that a company is trying to contribute positive action and it is not only focusing on growing profit. It spends money to prepare a report, and that report can really attract the interest of the public and add value to the company. I think it is valuable.
The second dilemma will be whether to balance conflict interest between economic or social wealth. According to our interpretation, if the company focuses on economic wealth, the company is able to improve the income. We'll face the problem in high working capital. The company's inability to maintain sufficient working capital and liquidity could hinder its plan to expand and grow. If the company focuses on economic wealth, Bill can pay the interest and the principal of the loan. Therefore, Bill can stabilize the company's profit. Another advantage is increasing investment in R&D. Higher profit enables a firm to spend more on research and development. This can lead to better technology, lower costs, and dynamic efficiency, especially for R&D in their fertilizer, which requires significant risky investment to develop. However, the cost is the increment tax expense because the company's net profit before tax were higher than the previous year. After taking some drastic steps, such as reducing the workforce and introducing other strict cost-cutting practices, the organization was able to generate a marginally higher net margin after tax than the previous year. The organization was able to generate a marginally higher net margin after tax than the previous year. Next, if the company focuses on social wealth, the company is able to reduce the pollution. Bill use of sulfuric acid, a raw material for one of the products, was an environmental hazard. Even though in India, almost 40% of the agricultural land suffered from sulfur deficiency, the company dealt with single, granulated, and triple superphosphate SSP, GSSP, and TSP fertilizers. These fertilizers were integral to addressing the sulfur deficiency of soil. Second, safe and environment-friendly workplace. Bill prided itself on having a zero accident target as part of its safety management program. To meet its safety goal, the company conducted regular safety inspection and provided employees with safety training. Next, social welfare also can reduce criminal activities in low-income areas. GDP income in India is very low, indicating poverty in the area. Hence, there are a lot of criminal activities like robbery and theft. With the help of social welfare, very few are able to reduce criminal cases. However, for the cause of social wealth is the massive cost of welfare programs. We assume that Bill plans to do welfare activities like providing healthcare-related service such as housing assistance, food needs, and direct monetary assistance within 500,000 citizens surrounding the Bill area. So, Bill's budget will be estimated at least $1 million. In the nutshell, we recommended Bill to implement social wealth because the profit after tax and share capital of the company is stable. In addition, Bill has a social welfare reserve that started in 2014. As we suggest Bill to choose social wealth, the main problem is cost of welfare programs. The business can overcome the cons of social wealth by making online donation easy. As the result, the organization will form a new division to handle this charity. Bill will publicize this on social media. The more user-friendly a company interface is, the more likely people are to donate. The organization will create content on why Bill requires the donation. Because when people see someone in their community donating to a cause, they believe it is the right thing to do.
So, come to the last dilemma. What CSR activities are implemented effectively? Based on the case study, we know that India's economic growth is inconsistent and low. This is because there are a complex range of problems such as poverty, unemployment, child education, energy shortage. For the CSR activities, all industry can focus on this complex problem and try to reduce the problem based on the company's capabilities. It is necessary that companies need to incur this expenditure because of better brand recognition and positive business reputation. The corporate social responsibility significantly affects the firm's financial performance by developing a positive image among the stakeholders and decreasing overall costs. CSR needs to align with the business culture and principle for it to achieve the greatest impact. All industry should constitute an in-house CSR team to carry out the CSR agenda because as the team is the employee of the company, they will know more deeper regarding the culture of the company compared to take outsource. It is also lower in terms of cost when constituting an in-house CSR team. There are few ways that all industry can focus on to make a successful CSR. We suggest that all industry can carrying the CSR activity in terms of partnering with the local non-governmental organization, improve employee policy, and hire local citizens, especially women and younger people as employees. Some of the activities are based on the issues that are happening in India. One of the serious issues in India is child education. The dropout rates in primary schools are very high, as children from low-income family needs to earn to feed themselves. All industry can partner with the local non-governmental organization who are work dormant in the education purpose. Some of the NGO, they provide peer learning which can help the kids effectively. Other than that, all industry can release some of the sponsorship for students who wants to apply for university. This can increase the quality of the employee. Once they graduate, they can work with all industry for appreciation. Besides that, all industry should improve employee policy since India faces a problem of malnutrition. All industry can imitate Netflix, Spotify offering benefits to support their employees and families. For example, Netflix and Spotify offer 52 weeks and 24 weeks of paid parental leave which can be taken at any time, whether it is the first year of a children's life or another time that suits their needs. It is very significant since the parent can also earn money to purchase some nutrition for their children or even can educate their children by paid parental leave. In addition, they can choose to provide 2 paid days off per year to their employees as encouraging them to volunteer and give back charity of the choice. Next, they can hire local citizens, especially women and younger people as employees. India have serious problem with poverty and women as well as children education. Thus, port industry can look to diversify their workplace by hiring more citizens as their employees by giving them opportunity to have enough money to maintain life. At least some of the women can work to provide some subsidized household and their children can obtain more nutrition. In addition, since poverty causes most of the younger teenagers unable to continue studies, port industry can hire them with the aim of giving them their first job and training since they could not have any experience before, and it is one strategy held by Starbucks